But that's not important right now. Where we get to you somehow. We talk a lot about crazy things, chief among them advertising.
You sound like you're dying. Like somebody's
Yes,
stabbing you in the head.
Tracy J. Hutchings. Woohoo!
Hello.
Hi there.
Welcome, Tracy Hutchings. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hi guys, thanks for having me back. Thanks for
Welcome
having
back
me back.
but that's not important right now. The podcast about Caribbean advertising and the crazy mad people that are involved in it.
You betcha.
We heard
A lot of them.
We heard the height of craziness, Jared Butts. Second
Hey,
and
hey,
now
guys.
Tracy
Hello.
Hutchings, and then myself.
Bonjour. Guten Tag.
I love how he puts himself as if they're crazy person.
What's going on, people? What's going
Yeah,
on?
we're good.
We're here.
Good. We're good for the nonce. Yes, we are.
It's another great day in paradise.
Yes, another day in the hot, sweaty, humid paradise that is the Caribbean.
Now, for all those of you who are now joining us, and to those who have our followers, welcome back. But for those who are joining us, thank you for joining us. We record this on a Wednesday evening, so you all will hear this in the future. Great Scott, we need to go back to the
where, Doc?
Back to the past. That's
to the past.
Work.
You said in the future, and I immediately started thinking about in the year 2525. So thanks, Reed.
Oh yeah, in the year 25.
I had never heard that. Actually, Jared, that song, I never heard that song.
You never heard that song?
Never
By Sacred Evans? In the year 25.
25.
It was creepy though.
Yeah, it is.
That was number one hit.
And they were one hit wonder. That was the only song that they.
List of 1969. For those of you who may not know.
Yeah, go listen to that. Somebody posted that. A friend of mine posted that and said it's prophetic. And I'm like, wow, okay, it's kind of creepy. And then there was somebody did an animated anime video to it, and it made it even worse. But anyway, so what I'm saying is we record this on a Wednesday evening. It is now Wednesday evening at 6:41 in the morning. At the tone, it will be 6:41. Beep, beep.
6:41. Do you know?
You're listening to this on a Monday. Monday, we put this out on a Monday so that people get a chance to, and we can share it around. And we do encourage you to please share it. Please subscribe. Please like it. Whatever.
Yes, do share. You must. You want to. It's important. It's vital.
On another note, on a housekeeping note, we have a YouTube channel, and people are saying, well, they prefer us to be on the YouTube channel. But what I would like to do is I'd like to kind of build the podcast part of this first before we move over to something like YouTube.
Before we do all that crazy stuff.
Right? It's a lot easier for us to just record this on a Zoom call than it is to record it right now on YouTube. So what I'm going to do is I will release the episodes
at
the end of the week. So episode 1 will come out at the end of this week that you're listening to, which will be in September. We're still in August, and then so on. So the YouTube team people will get it a week later, and that's not because we don't like you and we hate you and we don't want you to enjoy our
podcast. Despise the ground you walk on. No, just kidding.
We would prefer that I feel it out to all these podcast places. So there are a lot of followers who like to listen to us on iTunes and Spotify. So I don't want to just tell them, well, I moved everything over to YouTube. But anyway, so we're talking about nonsense today. We don't have any structure today.
There's no structure. We have no idea what the hell we'll be talking about. I'm sure we'll somehow construct something out of nothing. We shall be podcast gods, if you will. Yes.
Well, we're up to about 400 viewers. Well, not viewers, listeners.
Wow! Did you say? Wait a minute! Did you say 400 viewers?
400 unique listeners. So people.
Oh, cool, man, guys! Congrats!
That's great.
Have listened to us since we started. Yeah. So that's over a cumulative period of time. You know, our popular episode is still the first one.
Yeah.
Episode 1, the one with the reverb. That's still up, the popular one, because of the Moo Milk story. Well, not the Moo Milk, the what was it? What was the Moo story?
The Moo story, the smoke one, remember?
Milk, right. So we are trying to replicate that, and so far nobody's really, you damn bastards, listen to us, or we'll punch you.
Give it time. Give it time. It's got to grow organically.
Let's get some focus. Let's. So Tracy, tell us what you. Before we came on here, we were talking about something. So we'll start that off, and maybe that might trigger something else. You know, we had seen something on social media, and I just seen it. And Tracy, tell us the story. Don't name the company, but just tell us.
No, I shan't. I shan't. So social media posts for brands tend to be either they be very middle of the road, or they can be hilarious, or they can be hilarious and then somebody screams bloody murder and it gets pulled down, as per the norm with most things. And so this morning I'm watching a company, a restaurant. And on their social media post, they had something along the lines of, the actual words was "cluck cluck mother cluckers" to advertise their fried chicken. And
wait. Say that again. Mm-hmm. Say it again, because I didn't think I really understood what you just said. Did you say?
Mm-hmm. Hold on. The actual thing is "rise and shine, mother cluckers," to advertise this spicy fried chicken. And then, of course, they had a little fun disclaimer at the end of it. It was like, "Sorry for the foul language," but it was "rise and shine, mother cluckers."
Oh, straight in the gut. I got the face.
So it's like. Sorry. You know, first of all, I immediately started thinking, Bruce Willis has entered the building. But I was like, somebody's going to probably kick up a fuss, and soon it's going to be taken down. But surprisingly, it's still up. Nobody has, come out with tiki torches. So for me, it was just one of those things where it was like the idea.
Oh my God, I'm looking at it now. Oh my God, it's terrible. Who shoots somebody pouring syrup?
Where is it? Syrup, yeah, because it's waffles
with this nasty plastic. I mean, I know you have to use
clean.
Plastic gloves for sanitation or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there must be a way that, who shoots somebody holding this with a plastic glove? It looks horrible. It looks terrible.
I will say, like, because on a personal joke level, I was, up to recently was telling Mom the fact that every time I go into the cinema, I always get chicken tenders and nothing else. So seeing the chicken tenders with the other things that they have there, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool and interesting. But the syrup really is like, it's almost to like a black level. But yeah, the heights here for me is, rise and shine, mother cluckers.
Yeah, that does the yippee-ki-yay, mother clucker.
Yeah. I tell you, Bruce Willis has entered the building.
But no, it ends with cock-a-doodle-doo, baby.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, baby.
These boxes are giving our snooze button some serious. Who wrote this?
And therein lies the problem. So you see the middle of the road scene that we're having. If you're going to start with something as spicy as rise and shine, mother cluckers, then you should just end it there. This is what we have. The end. There's too many messages and 9,000 emojis, and I don't know if I need it. Don't get me wrong, I get the point of emojis, but I don't know if I need it. It's trying too hard, and this is the problem that I have with. Even I, from time to time, when I write social media things, there's too much things to do. You had me at rise and shine, mother cluckers, for better or worse. And I still maintain I find it hilarious that nobody has screamed about it. So, like, well done, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, so that's a thing that happened to me this morning that I saw.
I want to show. Let me just I'll put it in the chat so maybe Jared could see it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, what is always something we always talk about here is the idea that content creation is not advertising. You follow, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You as a content creator, you're not an advertising copywriter. You may be able to really do a nice post that's very emotional, like Humans of New York. Let me use that as a pinnacle of the example. Humans of New York is a very simple storytelling. Here's a photo, here's a story. And the story is engaging, is written very well, right? Mm-hmm. That is content. That is content creation. That is an example of doing content for social media. When it comes to advertising, you cannot treat advertising like Humans of New York. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or you could, if you've done it correctly. Now, Humans of New York kind of advertises for some of the people that they highlight. So it's like, go and check them out on Facebook or whatever, and I'm sure they get a lot of followers on Instagram. So that's good. That's great. That's the objective isn't to give them followers. The objective is to tell the story. In this case, with this particular campaign, Jared, I don't know if you were able to see that. It's in the chat. But if you look at it and you go, okay, this is advertising, hardcore advertising. Can you imagine, or maybe we could imagine, writing a press ad like this? Could you imagine yourself writing a headline like that?
It's interesting. It's interesting that you should mention that because when I used to work at the agency, we were supposed to do something that was what we considered. They wanted, first of all, the client wanted something bold, innovative, and funny, and it had something to do with the particular rates at the time regarding a particular mobile network. We won't mention the name. Mm-hmm. And we said that the rates were so low. How low are these rates? So we spoke to one of the art directors at the time, and we came up with an idea of an ant, which we think was funny. An ant doing the limbo.
Yes,
it can't get any lower than that. So we went ahead and we did it. We printed it. The creative director was there. He looked at it, thought it was funny. We looked at it, thought it was funny, submitted it to the client, and apparently the client didn't have any problems with it at first. So the headline was, how low are the rates on this particular network? Lower than an ant doing the limbo. And there he was, that ant looking as drunk as a skunk doing the limbo. And apparently we were not prepared for the backlash that would come with it. Because they said, somebody had said, and this is somebody, one of the higher ups, even higher than who we first, than we initially suspected. He said, "You don't know anything about advertising. You guys have written a steaming pile of horse crap. You need to relearn advertising 101 and And I gotta give our creative director at the time, I gotta give him some credit because he fought for that ad. He really did, because he thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But, again, if you, as we all know, if we're doing anything with respect to advertising and we're trying to come up with something creative, it's a subjective kind of thing. You might find, like I've said this before and I'll say it again, when we come up with ideas and we come up with concepts, it's pretty much like peeing on your leg. It's hot to you, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for anybody else. And it was hot to us, but again, and so
unless you're into some kinky shit, Jared.
In which case, I am leaving. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, go on. Yes, you were saying.
So yeah, so we were guilty of that, but I think it underscores how I haven't seen the post on social media as yet.
No, put it in the chat. You could try see if you can get onto the chat. I posted in the chat so you could see what it looks like.
Oh, the chat section. Hang on, let me just check and see the chat section. Maybe I could get a good look at it.
Why you do that? You make a very valid point. That again, we talked about this last week. So again, plug. If you haven't listened to episode 1, this is not a requirement, but you should go and listen to episode 1 for season 2. We talked about the fact that I lost my train of thought because of that stupid plug. What I'm saying is that the whole idea of that the client goes from 0 to 100 in a panic mode.
Yes.
So in the case of last week, we talked about this particular brand going, oh my God, this other brand is coming to take away our thing. Let's go hell hard. Now I remember this particular telecommunications, when we had the telecommunications war, we had done some very, very creative things because the client was in basically panic mode. They had opened up the market. We had gone from monopoly into competition, and they had never experienced that before. So not to rehash what we talked about last week, but to just say in this particular case, they were very open to taking ideas like an ant, doing the limbo, looking drunk as hell. But I'm still kind of confused though why the client didn't like it. Or is it that the client didn't like it, or the client told the person in question that they didn't like it, and that person came down to the creative department and shouted at everybody because that's what he used to do?
No, I don't think that was it at all. Initially, the initial response was the client loved it, because if the client didn't like it, there was no way.
Right. Yeah, but usually the client can say, yeah, they like it, and then 2 weeks later, somebody tells them, that ad you put out there is real nonsense. Then they come back.
And it's usually one person. Now let's put that in. It's one person, the janitor
or
somebody who's like,
Daddy, that ad is crap. Daddy, that ad is crap. Why you do that stupidness? And that's the end of that. You make me look bad from a child.
So they can't. They wouldn't dare tell you that. Oh well, it was our sister's cat's grandmother who looked at it and said, no, it's not. This is not kosher. So forget it.
That actually leads into a very interesting story. This same creative director in question, all props to him, he did fight for the ideas that he thought were merited. So, we usually come down hard on him for talking rubbish when he's ready, but we give Jack his jacket. He knew the good. He knew the good stuff, and even though he would fight for it, it was usually pain. But anyway, he had always said that. I lost my train of thought again.
he fighting for the idea and what it means and why and stuff.
Yeah, but there was a reason why I wanted to say what I was trying to get to. I was trying to get to the point where, anyway, it'll probably come.
While you scribble that down, and I think you should, while you scribble it down. There was something that we had said early on, the idea of whether or not you would do that or do something like that as a press ad. What I found personally is that there is a general feeling of freedom that you should be able to say and do certain things on social media that the mainstream public, quote unquote mainstream public, might have an issue within a press ad. So, for example, you might have a press ad like the same how low can you go and some, which I felt listening to the story sound very innocuous compared to, mother cluckers. But
stop saying that.
but there is that feeling. And to be honest with you, I myself have advocated that way, whereas you're on social media, there are some things that the brand, because they're very keen on their image or lack thereof is going to be like, okay, this is how we're going to operate in the press arts, and this is how we're going to do this. But once you hit digital, you can have a little bit more fun, because digital is meant to be, for want of an overused term, engaging. It's meant to have an engaging sort of feel to it. You're not trying to sell people on the idea of come and buy this product. You're trying to engage a community, and if the community believes in you, then you might actually grow into a following that they may decide to go and buy whatever it is that you're selling anyway. So, that's my little 2 cents there in terms of what gets flown on press ads, at least, back in the early part of my career, what got flowed into press ads and what could actually survive on social media. My problem is, especially with that particular post, is that it feels so all over the place. And I maintain if you're going to come out there and say something that spicy to advertise your product, then all you need to do is just have that one line. I'll give you this very quick thing, and then I'll shut up. There is another restaurant brand who has what I think is an exceptional, or in any event, very good social media manager and or platform. And what they do is they invite you into how it feels. So you feel like if you are part of that particular restaurant's, that small restaurant's family, when they put up new food, it's like, this is something that you can have for breakfast, and we all know that we need to have breakfast because reasons. And it's fun, and you don't get the idea of somebody's trying to sell you come and buy things. Whereas this one starts off so strong, and then again, 16,000 emojis, hyperbole, of course. 16,000 emojis, a message that goes.
It's like a 16-year-old.
It feels that way. Like it goes all over the place, and then you start off strong, and then you end with cockadoodle. Do get this? It reminds me of when Hillary Clinton stood up and said, Pokemon go to the polls, and I cringed. I cringed. I was
because it's so incongruous to the overall image and persona.
You're trying to talk to young people, which we could talk about at some other time, but if you're trying to talk to young people, I get that. And so Pokemon Go had just started, and then she starts off with, you should Pokemon go to the polls, and everybody's like, yeah, and I'm like, no, cringe. That's kind of how I feel about reading
all right, this. Let's be a little scientific. Let's go back to this post a little bit.
Yes, I'm going to pull it up on my end.
Right. Let's be a little scientific with this. First of all, whenever you're dealing with something like this, when you're dealing with social media strategy, what is the target? Not what, but who is the target? Now, we know this particular place, right? We don't want to go into detail of the place. I'll give away too much. But we know the DNA of this place is a certain kind of place.
Yes.
It's a place you walk in and you get pre-made food, and it's really nice, and it's very upscale and so on. And it's very well located and so on. So that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But then you come with rise and shine with the cluckers. That is not the target that you have. You following? So unless the strategy is to pull people who would not normally go there, okay. But again, I'm not understanding the direction that this needs to take. Because with a press ad, there's everybody. So you're dealing with the common denominator from the man on the port, right, to the executive in the boardroom. Everybody's seeing the same ad. Okay? On social media, even though the demographic is widespread and the economic level is widespread, it still can be very hyper focused. Now, I don't know if this page is running ads. I'll tell you. But the thing is, what I'm saying is that something like this, the line like that, leads itself to a certain demographic. You see? And I don't know if that is their audience. It doesn't seem to me that that's their audience. I could be wrong.
See, now that's an interesting thought process on a slightly different level. one, it could be that even though, okay, especially with location and everything
sorry,
like
they're
that.
not even running this as an ad. They didn't even boost this as an ad.
So it's not boosted. It's not a sponsored post.
It's all viral. All the engagement is completely and totally viral.
Oh, okay. Well done. All right. Well done. What is the perception of the perceived target? And I say that because, yes, given the location and perhaps maybe the type of audience that that would go for something like that, especially at the price point, there might be a different way to say it. But then, does that now become altogether elitist because they themselves enjoy fun things? Like, I'm sure that group of people digs, Bruce Willis like everybody else. So what exactly or who exactly is the target? A, yes, but B, how much do you know of this target? Because if you're saying that maybe it's not necessarily the older ones who live in that community, but maybe they're young people who are more open and more vibesy and that kind of stuff, fine. But then do the younger people who are open and vibesy understand the connotation of mother cluckers, especially in a Die Hard context, which quite possibly that's where they were leading with this, or even a Samuel L. Jackson kind of thing? Would they fully understand that grouping? And that's a thing that I have with social media because, or most media, to be honest, you have clients who say, this is our target, and our target is 25 to 50-year-olds on their lunch break. This has been a real thing. 25 to 50-year-olds on their lunch break who want, premium food at a not that premium price. But are we sure? Like, what's the research? Like, was there research done? Is that a thing that happens? These are the things that flows through my brain.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to ask yourself, right? You have to ask yourself, did they ever prepare in terms of finding focus groups who would say, you know what? Yeah, the mother cluckers terminology, it's a bit risque, but it's something that we can go with. I mean, the thing about, and what you said, Trace, it's true. You were talking about finding the right kind of demographics. Now, sometimes if you're running a campaign, especially as it pertains to social media, my problem with that is if you're talking about one time a few years ago when they had the I think it could have been either the Cricket World Cup or a T20 series, doesn't matter. There was this beer company, and there was just this one line, hit her for 6. You remember that?
Yes,
I remember that. I have friends behind the scenes with that. Oh my God.
That was nothing short of disastrous, because when you hit somebody for 6, it means that you said something that was so outlandish and so incredible that there's no way that person could come back to respond to what you just told. That, from that perspective, from that standpoint, it's, yeah, we get it. But if taken literally, you see something like that, you read that, you get all sorts of negative vibes, because you don't ever, I mean, whether it was whether you were joking or not, you don't ever go on social media and you use a line like hit her for 6.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get into all sorts of problems.
All right.
And in some cases, the background is justified.
Yeah. Tracy, you haven't actually scrolled through this particular page, have you?
Not today. No, I saw that one and I started laughing because I have them on Instagram as well.
That's their shtick. So let me find April. Wait, yes. April, 7th of April is a photo of a chicken sandwich. And it says, with buns like these, you can only hope you get clucky.
Oh boy.
So this is their thing.
All night to get
I think they switched to somebody So like on the 20th of February, Alexa play Best of Both Worlds by Hannah Montana. When you can't decide between the two favorites, burgers and pizza, we have the solution. So they've come up, you gotta give them props. They've come up with a theme. They have a theme. Now, they have a theme because there's another type of restaurant on social media. I don't know if that's the one you were talking about. That is very in your face, extremely hardcore, don't care, is actually talk back to their customers and tell them to hush and shut up and all kind of thing. And they do very, very well. And I don't know if that's the same one you were talking about earlier, where the social media team for that restaurant is doing the total opposite of what you're supposed to do on social media, which is, it's very what I call shock jock. They're very shock jock. So this particular brand is trying to do that middle ground. They're trying to be shock jock, but still be, on that safe area.
Reed, hold on a second. I've just seen a post for March the 9th they were advertising broccoli in their salad, and it was "Brock Off Your Back." Now there is an actual dancehall song called "Brock Off Your Back," and I'm like, oh guys, oh boy, yeah.
So you think that this is not their DNA, or you think that it's kind of disingenuous? I think it's creative, but I don't think it's the brand. But whatever works for them, I guess. I don't know if it's working. Is it working?
I'm one of those people who have bought from the place, but I buy now. The heist for me is that I buy because I see what it is and I like it, and I have dealt with them before. So their advertising, their social media things don't really sway me. But now that I'm actually looking at it, and again, I wonder if it is maybe the younger audience or the young professional audience may drive to that, as in like they might pull to that because their musical taste is eclectic. They know about the best of both worlds and all that kind of stuff like that. It just feels something doesn't feel like if it's 100% there. If you're going to dive into one particular way of doing it, then do it on a strict flow. Do it on a real level. If you can't start off with something that is punches me or gives me Brock Off Your Back, for crying out loud, and then continue on with some kind of like normalish press ad 33/7 kind of copy.
It's the problem is again, to quote Jason Ducaran in one of the previous episodes, it's no hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
To be punny is very well, I wouldn't say easy because I'm not a writer, so it's hard for me. But to say these lemon berry brioche buns are to die for, and we're not sugarcoating it. I mean, that's a terrible pun.
It's horrid. It's horrid.
It's horrid. So you're not a copywriter. You're a content creator, and you kind of have some kind of creative way of writing. No problem.
Content creator. Be careful how you say that, because next time.
Sorry?
No, content creator. Be careful how you say content, because some people
that's low hanging fruit. Those balls are low hanging. Okay, those are low hanging balls.
I feel like I'm inclined to change my tune. I just saw March the 6th. They were doing sushi. I'm having all this sushi to myself, no forks given, which is also very punny. But I mean, all right, they clearly, Reed, you're right. They clearly are following a pattern here. No forks
they have
given.
a theme.
Oh my God.
And this is actually, I give them props because it's very difficult to get a client to do this. A client who does this, who sits down and agrees to something like this, because they just like they would probably go, what is all of this? I just want you to show the food. Why you just don't show the food and say on sale now? you see, and put a price. In fact, put the price on the picture. And we've had fights like that. We've had fights like that where the images of a giant price with a starburst, and then the food is like a little thing in the corner, and they're like, we just want to show that we have a better price than somebody else. I mean, that's a different type of strategy. But again, their strategy is to engage that whatever age group it is, if you say it's a younger age group. But the people I see in there are mid-level, middle-aged people my age who go in there to buy lunch because they're working in those offices around the corner. So I'm a little bit confused. So the goal here is we want as many people to see the ad, so we're going to get them to like it. So we're going to use puns, right? And we're going to pun it, and we're going to get people laughing at it. We're going to get people liking it and hearting it and whatever. And guys, we've done it. We've achieved the goal. But does it actually bring bodies into? Well, the photo of the food might entice you to want to go and check it out for yourself. Again, there's nothing. This is why, comparing it to the other restaurant that we know, they've made it their business to shoot the food in situation like somebody eating it, somebody there, and it's really ugly. It looks terrible, and they say so. They say, "Look, this food is to be eaten. We want you all to come and eat it. It might look ugly. You ugly too. So you come here with your ugly self and buy the food." I'm like, this is hilarious. I mean, I wouldn't go in there. I wouldn't take that kind of abuse. But I mean, there are people who go and they just want to experience the abuse. It's like, Jared, you remember Private Parts? The one of my favorite movies, Private Parts, the story of Howard Stern. And the guy, the executive, is asking Howard Stern, asking the other executive, why don't you all get rid of him? He's saying all these bad things on the radio. And it's like, well, we asked the focus groups, and the focus groups all say, we want to hear what he's going to say next. And that's why they listen to him. And he got onto that train. And this restaurant, not the restaurant that I'm talking about, they got onto that train and they haven't deviated from it, and they seem to be doing well. This one is trying something similar, but trying a middle ground kind of thing. But again, do these things actually bring? I always ask, is your social media executions actually bringing the boys to the yard? Are they coming for your milkshake? Because if your milkshake ain't good, okay, that was a terrible, terrible analogy.
No, but thanks for that, because I will be playing that song right after this podcast is over. But Reed, I want to ask you and Jared this, because you said something there in terms of it's actually like remarkable that the client would have allowed them to go on like this. What I have realized, though, and this is where my question is, do you think that maybe the clients themselves, and I say the client themselves, maybe somebody inside that organization, so the client themselves is actually the one handling their social media? Because I found that sometimes you'll have a client who will scream bloody murder if you come in and say, let's do a post where people are sucking on drumsticks. We can't do that. But if they themselves sit down and come up with, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show a post with somebody sucking a drumstick. That becomes like the greatest thing ever. And they are doing their own social media. Plus, of course, there's the idea of keeping the costs indoor, because everybody is a writer and can clearly do it themselves. So do you think that maybe for this restaurant, and if I can broaden it a little bit, do you think that clients are starting to figure out, I could just do this damn thing myself, as opposed to hiring an actual content creator to do things?
What do you think?
It's not beyond the realm of possibility. There are those who genuinely feel that they, for some reason or the other, they feel that they've been anointed by the creative gods to come up with something that they think is going to be not necessarily award-winning, but the greatest tasting milkshake in the world that will bring all the boys and girls to the yard. Here's the thing, though. No matter what, we can come up with some of the best social media campaigns of all time. But still, the best form of advertising, even now, even in the 21st century, is still word of mouth. So you could come up with an advertising campaign that is the shizzle. You can say, hey, this thing rocks. It is sexy, not sexy, but you know, you know. And they look at it and they think, wow, this is great. Yeah, but the reality of the situation is, does the food taste good? And if it tastes good, fantastic. And if you have other people telling other people that the food tastes good and the ambiance is A1, sure, go there. Yeah, why not? And people will take the abuse. If there's a restaurant that says, well, we think you're an ugly mother clucker, they will say, hey, you know what? I don't mind being an ugly mother clucker. I love the damn food. I'm going there.
Right.
Yeah, the market will actually respond. And they will actually say, yeah, but you just damn ugly too. So just hush and give me more doubles.
So just shut. Yeah, exactly. You know, as we say in the Caribbean, shut your ass and let people like you. And that is the kind of thing that people will go for. They love that kind of stuff because that is a way of being down to earth and being real.
Yeah,
and it works for them.
Okay,
and no matter what, people are just going to go and look, people are just going to go and enjoy what it is they want to enjoy. If it is that they have a particular sandwich or a particular whatever it is, or whether it's an entree or a special dish, and it can consist of smoked salmon and olives and all that other stuff, fine, they'll go for it. And that's all you need to know. Want to stand out. I think whoever came up with this idea, they're doing it purely for shock value. Maybe at certain points during the day you would have, or evening, you would have the middle-aged folks turning up, and yet, okay, let's say during the evening, for example, the younger folks will turn out and say, hey, I want that. They'll go to the restaurant and say, I want that. Not necessarily based on the social media campaign, because as I said before, and the best form of advertising is still word of mouth.
Yeah,
and you can't get away from it.
I will always remember the head of client services when I first started at the agency, a very loud and lovable man, but very loud and very scary, saying when they opened the gym up in the mall for the first time, they actually came to us to do the launch, and it was a bit of a disaster. Anyway, short of the long story was, he said, and I always remember this, he says, the worst thing, that the thing that would kill a gym in this country is word of mouth. You could do as much advertising as you want about a gym, word of mouth will kill it. And when I started going to the gym, years and years after, I understood what he meant, because I used to go to Long Circular Gym, and I went to Ellerslie Gym, and I think I'd gone to one of the gyms in Digger Martin for a little bit, and I noticed a difference in the way the people are and the way the people behave and so on. Not the staff, but people there. And you think to yourself, yeah, well, if somebody asks me which gym to recommend, I would recommend a gym where I could hobnob with the head of Scotiabank's offices here, because he's a cool guy and he's real funny, and I like lining with him. And I say, yeah, you could come to this gym. They have good people here, but I wouldn't go to that gym because everybody there sour. and that is word of mouth that would kill your gym. But moving into the present day, now with the unspecified virus from the unknown origin, you can't. You're on a tightrope now, where even getting bodies into the gym is going to be a problem. I don't think anybody's worried about which gym I want to go to based on the people who are there. Is whether the gym clean, and they're doing the sanitization, and they're doing all these things to keep me safe from the unspecified virus from the unknown origin. You see? So again, things change and things, go over time. But something like a restaurant, most definitely, word of mouth is the key. Definitely. Yeah. So restaurants and bars and anywhere where, so the chair song, is encompasses all of that. You just want to go where somebody knows your name, where everybody knows your name. And that's what a bar is in Trinidad. You just want to go where everybody knows your name. And you want to go to a restaurant where they treat you, like family or whatever. And the minute you don't feel like that, you're going to tell other people, I don't feel like that. Now, coming back to social media.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is a small part of it. The Google business, if you know about Google business, and one of the things that I need to tell clients all the time is forget Facebook and Instagram and all these things. That's frou-frou. What you need to do is you need to focus on your Google business. If your Google business, because when you do a search on Google for the business and you see that rating is the most accurate rating. Reason being is that Google never deletes any review. You cannot delete a review from Google business. You can't even hide it. So if somebody puts a bad review, that is it. You're dead. You're dead. So your job is to continue keep that Google business rating. It's worse than Facebook. That rating is your bread and butter. Because if somebody searches this particular restaurant and they see what the rating is, they might go, hey, but this place is crap. When it may not actually be, it may not actually be that bad. You know what I mean? So I always tell clients, your word of mouth situation translates right into your Google business. Because instead of them telling their friends they're going straight on Google or they're going straight on Facebook after, they're going to say, I hate this place, it's crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have talked quite a bit about a lot of very deep and engaging stuff. I didn't expect us to be this deep and philosophical.
I didn't even get to reach to talk about, race relations. But hey,
race relations.
Race relations.
So this particular restaurant that we're talking about with Mother Cluckers has a 4.3 rating. What are you laughing about?
I can just stand in there with the race relations. Oh God, we'll talk about that another day. Yeah, good.
You Mother Clucker. Stop, you Mother Cluckers, stop. But actually, you remember when they showed Die Hard 2? Do you remember when they showed it on TV6 one night?
I don't remember, but I do.
See, you may not remember that. You're young. Jared, you remember when they showed Die Hard 2 on TV?
Yes, I do.
Jared, are you there? Are you dead?
I am. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when they showed Die Hard 2. Yeah.
Do you remember? So when they said they were going to show Die Hard 2, I'm like, how could they show this? Every second word in that movie is an MF, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we watched it, and they replaced the F word with Falcon.
That's right.
So what now?
So it's a famous thing. If you go on YouTube and you search it, it's a famous thing because whatever TV6 or TTT, whoever got it from the.
I think it was TV6.
Yeah, whoever supplied them with the tape was already edited, and it's the most hilarious thing because it's Yippee-ki-yay Falcon.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falconer. Those was the exact words, Mr. Falconer. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's really something, guys. Like I when AMC shows it, like AMC, one of these stations shows it in the daylight hours, you get some weird non-cussing things because baby kids are on, but from the time it reaches 7 p.m. and it's Die Hard or whatever, it goes full blast. So I've never heard that one.
But they come up with some They come up with some really creative words to replace certain curse words. Like for example, I remember I was watching a particular movie where this woman was calling another woman a dumb cluck, and
wow,
and I don't think it was what you think it is. So
they showed a movie. I can't remember which movie it was, but it was a movie that had a lot of nudity.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one it was. They had a lot of nudity. And they cut it up so badly, you could not figure out what was happening. Because a lot of it got so cut up. It's like, wait, what just happened there? What? Because they had to cut out the entire conversation.
Wait. That reminds me. That reminds me of a time when the local television station, when we had just one television station, they showed on Family. It was Family Theater. They showed Conan the Barbarian, an R-rated movie on a Sunday morning. I kid you not. This is back in 1986. No, there was no decapitation of heads, no sort of humping taking place. They cut everything. I mean, they cut the humping part, they cut the violence, and it was just one of the most disjointed films I've ever seen in my life.
But Jared, that also reminds me that I remember when I was in Form 1. Yes, Form 1, 1987. Mm-hmm. You remember when Jared used to show on a Friday evening, they used to show a movie in the AV room? Do you remember those days?
Yeah, I remember those days, yeah.
Oh, they went and showed RoboCop. Me and my 13-year-old self sit down and watch this and went, this is holy crap, this is awesome. Look at this. I was telling my friend Andrew lives in the States because he went and saw it when he was 10 years old. And he says he vaguely remembers some of these scenes, but he doesn't remember any of the scenes. And I was like, but dude, I remember everything. This is awesome. But I don't know how they managed that. How did they manage that? How did they get away with that, Jared? We need to find that out. We need to find out how they got away with that.
I don't know how they might. Listen, let me tell you something. There were times when you could watch particular films uncensored and uncut in the viewing room, in the audiovisual room right there at Fatima. I could even go into particulars where we had certain teachers who had their offices and they were watching movies of a rather questionable nature. But that's not important right now.
That's not important right now. And this has been great. This is awesome. I think we've reached our limit of bullshit for today.
The meter has arrived.
I don't know. I was going to ask Tracy if there's anything that's going on in the industry right now, because Tracy, you are still working.
I'm still.
So I don't know if there's anything that that's happened within your, any industry news. One of the things I was talking to Asma Ali about was that, interestingly enough, and this might be something that grows out of this, is that I always wondered why there was never ad rag. You know what an ad rag is?
Mm.
Right, there's never ad rag, to talk about industry news. So like we could talk about crap here, but so for example, I was told that the Pentapane's pitch was won by an agency in Barbados, right? But that hasn't been confirmed. Now, I don't know why we don't have people who are like reporters who report on the ad industry in Kurgan. It would be awesome to know, within the peer group that, hey, this pitch was won by this agent, and nothing bad. We just, you want to know. Mm-hmm. So just like Ad Age announces, well, we've been told that the pitch was won by so and so. So that's good. That's important because there are a lot of agencies that pitch for that business and didn't win, and they want to know who won. And they always try to keep this. And that's the other thing. They always try to keep these things secret. It's always trying to be a big old secret, and everybody wants to know. I for example, the rumor is that I've heard that the social media manager for another big agency has left. He fired the work. He say, I gone. So, these things are important. We have to know, people, yeah, you want to know, you don't want to know the gory details and everything, it's not a what you call it, a gossip mag. It's just that, the agency in question has an opening because they lost their thing and they may be looking for somebody, that kind of thing. Even if it's not public, it's some kind of network situation. I don't know what it is. But
the thing is that the industry here is too small. Trinidad and Tobago on the whole is already a small place. So somebody's going to be working in the media department who works in the newspapers, who also has somebody who works in agency A, who slept with somebody in agency B. And then, we're all going to find out sooner or later. So what's the point? Might as well just make a real thing. Hey, this is what's happening now. And this is what had happened. Move on,
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. All right, so we end up with Jared. You tell us but we need to define something. So what are we defining? What are we defining?
What are we defining?
Cluck. Are we defining the word cluck? What the word cluck is?
What the word cluck? What is cluck? Well, cluck. That's a sound normally made by chickens. And it proves that they're quite contented, but that's not important right now.
Do you know that there are people who are afraid of brown chickens?
Oh my God, the brown chicken debate.
Yeah, the people are afraid of chickens.
I don't want to keep going, but actually that I was working on a chicken project. I'm working with the veterinary school of medicine a project. I can't tell you what the project is. I mean, it's not really a big deal, but I told in the meeting where we were talking about chickens, because it's all about chickens. I told the people in the meeting, I said, well, I have this story. I don't know if you like this story, but I just want to relate this story because I think it's funny. And I related the brown chicken story. And they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, this guy actually thinks that she's like, I have never heard, I need to go and research this. So now I've set the principal of the veterinary school of medicine to go and look up if there is actually a thing for people to be afraid of brown chickens.
Brown chickens.
Electrophobia! Look it up.
Wow.
Right.
Electrophobia!
But that's not important. That's not important right now. Thank you very much, Tracy. Please go and follow Tracy on. Tracy, you're on Twitter, but you're not really.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, as in Poet in a Glass, NA Glass, but I use that for my fun things.
Yeah. And the Slap You Down series as well.
And they slap me down. So yeah, which funny enough, I have a new episode that's going up. I'm going to talk about geopolitics.
Looking forward to that.
So that's going to be on YouTube, as in Tracy Hutchings, and then I'm on I'm on Instagram under We Are Tracy, which is my comic and pop culture news self.
Gotcha.
Cool. And Jared, you're on Twitter?
Yes, I'm on Twitter, Jared Butts, one word. Follow me, I will follow you back.
And he's on the radio.
Yeah, I'm on radio, yes. Platinum Hits, 103.5 FM, 6 to 9 a.m. Monday to Friday. Yeah, we do a show called Platinum in the AM, where I play a lot of music from the 80s, 90s.
Jared, you got a new voice. You got a new girl.
Yes, a new voice, new girl. Maria is her name.
Is she cute?
This is not the place for that kind of conversation.
Not the time, no place to discuss these things, Mr. Reed.
Why not? I just asking if she's cute. Is she cute? Is she nice?
Yes,
she's talented and she can do her job. That's the important part.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. She's very good. She's very good. But anyway, I was going to ask what happened to Jody, but we could talk about that after.
We'll talk about here, maybe. I guess.
Good. Well, I can always edit this out. It's the power of editing.
Yay!
All right. So
in that case,
you could follow me at Redesigns on Twitter. Obviously, please subscribe. Please, if you've bounced up this post from a search, some random showed up on your feed.
Our tribe and subscribe.
Absolutely. Please subscribe, like, smash that. Smash the button. Smash all the buttons.
Smash the buttons.
We'll be back next week. This episode 1 of season 2 will be on our YouTube channel, so you can go and check that out. The YouTube channel is, of course, but that's not important right now. So you can give a search for that. And I also do a lot of liking of airplane videos on that channel. So
right. Kind of neat when you think about it.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you very much. This was awesome. Check you all later. Next week,
we're going to cluck off. What? No?
And good night, gentlemen.
Good night and good luck.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.